Have you ever felt that something fundamental is changing in the world? That the reality we know is unraveling before our eyes like an old tapestry coming apart at the seams? What if I told you that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations have been observing Earth for millennia, maintaining careful watch over our species' development? And now, for the first time in recorded history, they are sending urgent messages about an inevitable planetary transformation that will reshape everything we thought we knew about existence itself. The Pleiadians, beings from a star system located approximately 440 light-years from Earth in the constellation we know as the Seven Sisters, have supposedly broken a millennial silence that has protected our species from premature knowledge. Their communications, received independently by channelers, contactees, and sensitive individuals around the world over the past several decades, all converge on a single disturbing truth that challenges our most basic assumptions. We are experiencing the definitive collapse of our current civilization and witnessing the birth pangs of an entirely new reality paradigm. But this is not just another conspiracy theory or New Age speculation designed to comfort anxious minds during uncertain times. When we carefully analyze current global patterns, examine energy anomalies being recorded by legitimate scientific institutions, and study historical accounts of extraterrestrial contacts throughout human history, we discover connections and correlations that profoundly challenge our understanding of reality itself. Today, we will explore compelling evidence suggesting that our species is undergoing an unprecedented consciousness evolution, a transformation being subtly guided by cosmic intelligences that have been observing our development for far longer than we could ever imagine. The implications of this information are staggering. If true, everything we believe about human history, our place in the universe, and our future as a species may need to be completely reconsidered through this new lens of cosmic awareness and interdimensional reality. The Pleiades star cluster, known throughout human history as the Seven Sisters, has always held a special and inexplicable fascination for terrestrial civilizations across every continent and throughout every historical period. This magnificent constellation, visible to the naked eye as a jewel-like cluster of blue-white stars, was not only observed, but actively venerated by the ancient Greeks, Mayans, Australian Aborigines, Native American tribes, ancient Egyptians, and dozens of other cultures that remarkably and curiously developed strikingly similar myths and legends about luminous, benevolent beings descending from those distant stars to interact with and guide early humanity. Sumerian cuneiform records, some of the oldest written documents known to archaeology and dating back more than 4,000 years, already describe the mysterious Anunnaki as visitors and teachers who originated from the Pleiades star system. These ancient texts speak of advanced beings who brought knowledge of agriculture, mathematics, astronomy, and spiritual wisdom to primitive human societies. The Mayans, with their incredibly sophisticated understanding of astronomy and mathematics, built their most important pyramids and ceremonial centers with precise alignments to the Pleiades constellation, suggesting this star cluster held profound religious and practical significance in their cosmology. Perhaps even more remarkable are the Australian Aboriginal traditions, passed down through oral history for an estimated 40,000 years, which consistently tell detailed stories about the starmen, or sky beings, who descended from the Seven Sisters to teach the first humans essential survival skills, social organization, and spiritual practices. These stories, preserved across dozens of separate tribal groups with no historical contact with each other, share remarkable consistency in their descriptions of these otherworldly teachers. Modern astrophysics has confirmed that the Pleiades cluster is relatively young in cosmic terms, approximately 100 million years old. and contains several hundred high-energy blue giant stars that could, according to current theoretical models, potentially sustain advanced planetary systems capable of supporting evolved civilizations. Even more intriguing and scientifically puzzling are the gravitational anomalies that have been detected throughout this region of space, suggesting the presence of significant masses or energy fields that do not correspond to any known stellar or planetary objects. Anomalies that challenge our conventional astronomical models and understanding of stellar mechanics. But can it really be mere coincidence that cultures separated by vast oceans, different continents, and thousands of years of historical development independently created such remarkably similar narratives about this one specific constellation? Scientific curiosity and logical analysis compel us to seriously question whether these persistent ancestral myths might actually contain fragments of genuine collective memories about real historical contacts with advanced Pleiadian civilizations. Unlike the more commonly discussed extraterrestrial entities described throughout modern ufology literature, particularly the so-called Greys, with their disturbing abduction scenarios and invasive medical procedures, Pleiadians are consistently portrayed across hundreds of independent witness accounts as fundamentally benevolent beings. These entities are characterized by an essentially humanoid appearance, featuring delicate, refined facial features, graceful proportions, and a physical stature that is typically described as slightly superior to average human height, usually ranging between 6 and 7 feet tall. Multiple witnesses from different geographical locations and cultural backgrounds report observing a subtle but unmistakable luminosity emanating from Pleiadian bodies, as if their cellular structure contains some form of internal light source that creates a gentle, ethereal glow around their entire being. Their eyes are consistently described as larger than typical human proportions and possessing uncommon colorations that range from deep, penetrating blues to brilliant violets. Colors that seem to shift and change depending on their emotional state or the nature of their communication. The most fascinating and significant aspect of these eyewitness reports concerns the unique nature of Pleiadian communication methods. Unlike the Greys and other extraterrestrial species that allegedly conduct physical examinations, genetic experiments, or invasive procedures on human subjects, Pleiadians are reported to operate primarily through sophisticated telepathic transmissions and direct consciousness-to-consciousness communication that bypasses normal sensory channels entirely. They demonstrate a profound respect for human autonomy and consistently refuse to directly interfere in terrestrial affairs, adhering to what they describe as a fundamental cosmic law of free will that governs all interactions between evolved civilizations, according to the most consistent and detailed channelings recorded independently by different mediums, psychics, and contactees across multiple decades and continents. Pleiadians present themselves as representatives of a vast confederation of worlds that have successfully evolved far beyond the conflicts, limitations, and destructive patterns that continue to plague human civilization. They describe highly advanced societies based on principles of cooperation rather than competition, spiritual development rather than material accumulation, and perfect harmony with universal laws rather than attempts to dominate or exploit natural systems. This fundamentally non-interventionist philosophical approach would logically explain why we do not observe massive public contacts or miraculous interventions that would solve humanity's problems from the outside. Pleiadians supposedly maintain a firm belief that humanity must evolve naturally through its own choices, experiences, and lessons, receiving only subtle guidance and inspiration when specifically requested, or when larger cosmic events require some form of clarification or preparation to prevent unnecessary suffering or species-level disasters. The central and most profound concept emerging from decades of alleged Pleiadian communications is what they term planetary transition, a phenomenon that transcends ordinary social, political, or environmental changes and represents a fundamental shift in the very fabric of reality itself. According to these communications, Earth as a living, conscious entity is currently undergoing a massive vibrational elevation that affects not only the planet's physical systems and electromagnetic fields, but literally every form of consciousness that exists within its sphere of influence. From the smallest microorganisms to the most complex human awareness, this revolutionary theory suggests that planets, much like individual living organisms, naturally progress through distinct evolutionary cycles or dimensional states of existence. Earth, according to Pleiadian teachings, is currently completing what they describe as a third dimensional cycle that has been characterized by duality, separation, conflict-based learning, and the illusion that consciousness is separate from its environment. The planet is now entering what they term a fourth dimensional state of existence, where unity consciousness, spontaneous cooperation, accelerated spiritual development, and direct perception of interconnectedness become the dominant characteristics of life experience. Pleiadians explain that this type of dimensional transition is a completely natural and cyclical process that occurs regularly throughout the cosmos as planets and their inhabitant species reach sufficient levels of consciousness development. They claim that their own civilizations underwent similar transformative transitions millions of Earth years ago, successfully navigating the challenges and opportunities that such fundamental changes present. However, they emphasize that our current transition is particularly significant and complex because it coincides with much larger cosmic changes, including our solar system's movement through specific regions of the galaxy that contain different energy densities and consciousness-affecting radiations. While this may initially sound like pure science fiction or conspiracy theory, when we objectively examine the unprecedented anomalies currently manifesting across our planet, from the documented changes in Earth's magnetic field and the mysterious alterations in the planet's base resonant frequency, to the extreme and increasingly unpredictable climate patterns and the rapid acceleration of social, political, and economic transformations worldwide, we discover remarkable correlations that challenge conventional explanations and suggest the possibility of much deeper, more fundamental changes occurring at levels we are only beginning to understand. Even NASA and other mainstream scientific institutions have begun recording and documenting inexplicable alterations in Earth's ionosphere, significant variations in what scientists call the Schumann resonance, often referred to as Earth's energetic heartbeat, and other atmospheric and electromagnetic anomalies that do not fit established models of planetary behavior and suggest the influence of previously unknown forces or energy sources. Mainstream scientific institutions and research organizations worldwide have documented an extensive and growing catalogue of planetary anomalies that, when examined objectively, align remarkably well with Pleiadian descriptions of the fundamental changes accompanying planetary transition. Earth's protective magnetic field, which has remained relatively stable for thousands of years, is now weakening at a dramatically accelerated rate that far exceeds all previous scientific projections. A phenomenon that geological evidence indicates has historically preceded major evolutionary leaps, mass extinctions, and complete reorganizations of life on Earth. The Schumann resonance, first discovered and measured by German physicist Winfried Otto Schumann in 1952, represents the electromagnetic resonance frequency generated by lightning strikes in the cavity between Earth's surface and the ionosphere. This frequency has maintained a remarkably stable oscillation at approximately 7.83 Hertz for as long as scientific measurements have been possible. However, since the late 1990s, sensitive monitoring equipment operated by research institutions around the world has recorded increasingly frequent and dramatic anomalous spikes in this fundamental frequency, with readings sometimes reaching 16 Hertz or higher. Changes that some theoretical researchers suggest could directly affect human consciousness, since our brainwaves operate within similar frequency ranges during various altered states of awareness. International astronomical observatories and space monitoring agencies have confirmed that our entire solar system is currently passing through a previously unknown region of the galaxy characterized by significantly different energy densities, particle compositions, and electromagnetic properties. This region, which scientists have designated the local cloud, or local interstellar cloud, contains cosmic particles, radiation types, and energy fields that interact with Earth's heliosphere, magnetosphere, and atmospheric systems in ways that are not yet completely understood by conventional astrophysics, and may be contributing to the unprecedented changes we are observing across multiple planetary systems. Perhaps most intriguing and scientifically challenging are the growing number of reports documenting anomalous temporal phenomena that suggest fundamental alterations in the nature of time itself. Since approximately 2000, multiple atomic observatories and precision timing facilities around the world have recorded inexplicable variations in what physicists call the time constant, subtle but measurable. Fluctuations that suggest time itself may be accelerating, decelerating, or somehow altering its most basic properties in ways that challenge our understanding of physics and reality. Leading quantum physicists and consciousness researchers are beginning to seriously investigate and speculate about possible direct interactions between collective human consciousness and the fundamental structure of reality itself. Interactions that could theoretically explain these mysterious temporal anomalies and other phenomena that seem to transcend conventional scientific models. I do not claim to believe everything without question, but it is critically important to acknowledge that there exists an extraordinary and statistically significant convergence between specific Pleiadian predictions made decades ago and emerging scientific data about fundamental planetary and cosmic changes that are now being documented by respected mainstream institutions worldwide. A careful examination of human history reveals distinct cyclical patterns of massive civilizational transformations that consistently coincide with specific combinations of social instability, dramatic environmental changes, and most remarkably, significant increases in UFO sightings, extraterrestrial contact reports, and other anomalous phenomena that suggest increased activity by non-human intelligences during periods of major historical transition, the historical period immediately preceding the collapse of the mighty Roman Empire provides a fascinating case study in these patterns. This era was extensively documented by respected historians such as Tacitus, Suetonius, and Pliny the Elder, who recorded numerous accounts of anomalous celestial phenomena, including unidentified luminous objects moving through the skies in formations that defied explanation, dramatic alterations in normal climate patterns that led to crop failures and social unrest, and a pervasive psychological atmosphere of anticipation and anxiety that contemporary observers described as a generalized sensation of approaching end times or fundamental change. These phenomena directly preceded the collapse of one of history's most powerful and long-lasting civilizations. A remarkably similar pattern of events occurred during the crucial transition period from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance, a transformation that fundamentally altered the course of human development and consciousness. Medieval chronicles, monastery records, And historical documents from this period document what can only be described as an explosion of sightings involving flaming shields, celestial chariots, and other unidentified aerial phenomena moving through European skies. These sightings coincided precisely with major epidemics, radical social and political changes, the breakdown of feudal systems, and the emergence of entirely new paradigms in science, art, philosophy, and human consciousness that we now recognize as the foundation of modern civilization. The 20th century has presented the highest concentration of documented UFO reports, extraterrestrial contact experiences, and related anomalous phenomena in all of recorded human history. This remarkable surge in apparent non-human activity has coincided with humanity's greatest period of technological advancement. Scientific discovery, social transformation, and consciousness expansion, culminating with widely witnessed mass sightings such as the Phoenix Lights incident. Historically significant events like the alleged Roswell crash, and most recently, official military and government disclosures about unidentified aerial phenomena that represent an unprecedented acknowledgement by official institutions of the reality of non-human intelligences operating in Earth's atmosphere. According to Pleiadian communications, these recurring contact windows or periods of increased extraterrestrial activity are not random occurrences but represent carefully timed interventions that coincide with moments when human civilizations approach critical evolutionary decision points. They suggest that various extraterrestrial civilizations, including their own, do not directly intervene in human affairs, but significantly increase their subtle presence and monitoring activities during these crucial periods, ready to provide guidance through receptive individuals when necessary to prevent species-level disasters or to support positive evolutionary developments. One of the most profound and potentially disturbing revelations contained within decades of Pleiadian communications concerns their assertion that the current widespread collapse of traditional terrestrial systems, economic, political, social, environmental, and institutional, is not an accidental occurrence or simply the result of human mismanagement, but rather represents a natural and inevitable consequence of the planetary vibrational transition currently underway. According to this perspective, systems and structures that are fundamentally based on principles of control, exploitation, separation, fear, and scarcity consciousness literally become incompatible with the higher dimensional frequencies now emanating from Earth's core and atmosphere, leading to their inevitable dissolution and replacement. This revolutionary perspective offers a completely alternative interpretation for the seemingly intractable crises that conventional analysts typically attribute to human failures, natural economic cycles, political incompetence, or random catastrophic events. From the Pleiadian viewpoint, phenomena such as global financial instability and the recurring collapse of economic systems, the breakdown and corruption of traditional political institutions and democratic processes, extreme and unprecedented climate changes that exceed all previous scientific projections, and even complex social phenomena like the dramatic increase in political polarization, social fragmentation, and psychological disorders could all be understood as symptoms of a fundamental energetic incompatibility between old paradigm structures and the new vibrational frequencies that are transforming our planet's consciousness. Pleiadians describe this massive systemic breakdown as a form of cosmic purification process or consciousness cleansing, in which obsolete structures, institutions, and ways of thinking that no longer serve human evolution must completely dissolve and decompose in order to create space and provide the raw materials for the emergence of more evolved, harmonious, and sustainable paradigms. They frequently use the metaphor of biological metamorphosis, comparing our current global situation to the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly, a process that requires the complete dissolution of the original form before the new creature can emerge with entirely different capabilities and consciousness. The profound mystery and challenge lies in determining whether this interpretation represents genuine hope for humanity's future or simply provides a comforting narrative framework for making sense of increasingly chaotic and frightening global circumstances. Objective evidence appears to support both possibilities simultaneously. While traditional systems and institutions do indeed face unprecedented crises and challenges that threaten their continued existence, we are also witnessing the rapid emergence of innovative social movements, revolutionary technologies, alternative economic models, and expanding human consciousness that are all oriented around principles of cooperation rather than competition, environmental sustainability rather than exploitation, and spiritual connection rather than materialistic separation. Contemporary research conducted by medical institutions, universities, and independent research organizations worldwide suggests that millions of people across all demographic groups are currently experiencing unprecedented phenomena that align remarkably well with detailed Pleiadian descriptions of the consciousness changes that naturally accompany planetary dimensional transitions. Medical professionals report dramatic increases in previously rare conditions, such as unexplained chronic fatigue that does not respond to conventional treatments. Significant alterations in normal sleep patterns, including increased lucid dreaming and prophetic dreams. Extreme emotional hypersensitivity that seems to extend beyond normal psychological explanations. And sudden expansions of perceptual abilities, including enhanced intuition, telepathic experiences, and awareness of subtle energy, fields neuroscientists and consciousness. Researchers using advanced brain imaging technology have documented measurable alterations in the typical brain activity patterns of the general population, including significant increases in interhemispheric synchronization between the brain's left and right hemispheres, enhanced activity in regions traditionally associated with advanced meditative states and mystical experiences, and the spontaneous activation of neural pathways that normally require years of intensive spiritual practice to develop. Some leading researchers in consciousness studies speculate that these changes may be directly influenced by alterations in Earth's electromagnetic field, atmospheric conditions, or exposure to previously unknown forms of cosmic radiation that are affecting human neural functioning at the cellular level. Even more intriguing and scientifically challenging are the exponentially increasing reports of telepathic experiences, accurate premonitions of future events, and meaningful synchronicities that have become statistically significant across large population groups, rather than remaining isolated to individuals with special psychic abilities. Paranormal research institutes and consciousness studies programs at major universities have documented exponential increases in spontaneous psychic abilities, particularly among children and young adults born after 1995, a generation that appears to be naturally developing enhanced consciousness abilities without any special training or practice. According to Pleiadian explanations, these remarkable changes result from prolonged exposure to higher dimensional energy frequencies that are naturally activating dormant genetic potentials within human DNA. Potentials that represent consciousness abilities our species possessed during previous historical periods before cataclysmic events or deliberate interference interrupted our natural evolutionary development. They suggest that rather than developing new abilities, humanity is actually recovering and remembering innate capacities that are part of our original spiritual heritage and genetic blueprint. What is your personal opinion about these apparently spontaneous and widespread transformations in human consciousness that are being documented worldwide? Do you believe these changes represent symptoms of natural evolutionary development? The influence of external cosmic forces that we do not yet understand? Or perhaps the activation of latent human potentials by advanced civilizations who are subtly assisting our species' development during this critical transition period? Perhaps the most fascinating and empowering aspect of the comprehensive Pleiadian communications received over multiple decades is their consistent emphasis on individual responsibility, personal choice, and conscious participation during this unprecedented planetary transition period. Unlike traditional apocalyptic prophecies that suggest inevitable external events beyond human control, or religious doctrines that promote passive waiting for divine intervention, Pleiadians consistently insist that each individual person must consciously and actively choose their personal response to the profound changes currently unfolding around us, and that these individual choices will collectively determine the ultimate direction and outcome of the entire planetary transformation process. This perspective completely transforms the concept of planetary transition from a passive event that happens to humanity into an actively participatory process that humanity co-creates through the accumulated power of individual consciousness choices. According to these sources, our species is literally and continuously choosing between two fundamentally different reality trajectories that are diverging more dramatically with each passing day. One trajectory leads toward a reality based on fear, control, separation, scarcity, and conflict, a path that would inevitably result in greater chaos, destruction, environmental collapse, and possibly species extinction. The alternative trajectory opens into a reality founded on love, cooperation, unity, consciousness, abundance, and harmony. A path that leads to unprecedented peace, prosperity, environmental restoration, and evolutionary advancement beyond our current imagination. The underlying theory suggests that these billions of individual consciousness choices create what scientists call morphogenetic fields, or consciousness fields, that influence and shape the fundamental structure of reality itself at quantum levels. According to this model, communities, regions, nations, and eventually entire planetary systems can follow completely different evolutionary trajectories based on the predominant consciousness orientation of their inhabitants, creating parallel realities that may exist simultaneously but offer vastly different life experiences. This concept finds remarkable parallels in cutting-edge quantum physics research, where the consciousness and intention of observers has been scientifically demonstrated to influence the behavior and outcomes of subatomic particles in controlled laboratory experiments. Some theoretical physicists are now seriously investigating the possibility that collective human consciousness may literally co-create alternative reality timelines through quantum mechanical processes that are not yet fully understood by mainstream science, but may represent fundamental laws governing the relationship between consciousness and physical reality. The specific practical guidance provided through Pleiadian communications regarding preparation for the ongoing transition focuses significantly less on accumulating material resources, survival supplies, or external security measures, and much more on developing essential consciousness qualities and internal capabilities such as enhanced discernment and intuitive wisdom, unlimited compassion for all beings, mental and emotional flexibility that allows adaptation to rapidly changing circumstances, and deep connection with higher levels of intuition and spiritual guidance that transcend normal rational thinking processes. They consistently recommend specific daily practices and lifestyle changes that include regular meditation or contemplative practices designed to attune individual consciousness to higher dimensional frequencies and cosmic intelligence, frequent meaningful connection with natural environments to maintain energetic stability and grounding during periods of intense change, active participation in creating and maintaining communities based on principles of cooperation, mutual support, and authentic trust rather than competition and fear, and the gradual cultivation of responsible personal autonomy that reduces dependence on external systems while increasing individual resilience and creative problem-solving abilities. Remarkably, these practical recommendations closely echo the core teachings of ancient spiritual traditions from multiple cultures around the world, including Tibetan Buddhism, Hindu Vedanta, Native American wisdom traditions, ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and Christian mysticism, suggesting that timeless wisdom about consciousness transformation and spiritual evolution remains completely relevant and applicable to contemporary challenges and unprecedented global circumstances. Perhaps most significantly, Pleiadians consistently refuse to promise external salvation, miraculous rescue operations, or direct intervention that would solve humanity's problems without human participation and growth. Their message remains simultaneously deeply hopeful and realistically challenging. Humanity already possesses all the necessary resources, abilities, and potential to successfully navigate this historic transition and emerge as a more evolved, harmonious, and spiritually advanced species. But we must consciously activate these potentials through daily choices, consistent dedication to inner development, and collective commitment to creating the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. As we complete this comprehensive exploration of alleged Pleiadian communications regarding the current planetary transition, we encounter a narrative that simultaneously challenges every assumption of conventional reality while offering a framework for understanding and integrating the unprecedented changes occurring throughout our world. Regardless of whether these messages originate from actual extraterrestrial civilizations or represent projections of human consciousness grappling with transformative times, they provide a uniquely comprehensive perspective on both the challenges and extraordinary opportunities facing our species during this remarkable period of accelerated change and evolution. The lessons of history consistently demonstrate that all great civilizational transformations have been accompanied by fundamental shifts in collective consciousness, dramatic alterations in environmental conditions, and the emergence of entirely new paradigms regarding the nature of existence, human potential, and our relationship with the cosmos. What makes our current historical moment unique and unprecedented is the truly global scale of these changes and the incredibly accelerated speed at which transformation is occurring across all aspects of human experience simultaneously. The Pleiadians, whether understood as literal extraterrestrial entities or as symbolic representations of higher wisdom, embody a fascinating and inspiring possibility that humanity is not alone in this vast universe, that more evolved civilizations observe our development with genuine benevolent interest and concern, and that we can receive subtle guidance and support while maintaining complete responsibility for our own choices and evolutionary development. The ultimate mystery remains tantalizingly unresolved. Are we actually experiencing a carefully orchestrated planetary transition, guided and monitored by advanced cosmic intelligences? Or do these remarkable narratives reflect the natural projections of human hope and wisdom arising in response to changes that we do not yet completely understand through conventional scientific and philosophical frameworks? Perhaps the final answer matters less than our willingness to remain open to possibilities that expand our vision of what it truly means to be human during this extraordinary moment in the unfolding story of consciousness evolution on Earth. What is your personal theory about these accelerating transformations that seem to be fundamentally altering reality itself all around us? What do you believe is really happening to our world and our species during these unprecedented times? Please share your thoughts, theories, and personal experiences in the comments section, and let us continue exploring together the profound mysteries that challenge our understanding of the cosmos and our unique place within the infinite adventure of consciousness evolution. If this content has sparked your curiosity and desire to learn more about these fascinating possibilities, please subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so you will not miss any of our ongoing investigations into the universe's most intriguing and consciousness-expanding phenomena.